welcome to the September Historic District Board of Review meeting. We're glad that you were able to make it. We've got 3 applications on the docket for today. And so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Brooke, you want to do a roll call?
Absolutely. Josh Wilbur,
Present.
Jerome Vernon,
Present.
Thomas Stark,
Present.
Owen McCall,
Present.
Jerry Wade,
Present.
Ken McWilliams,
Present.
and Mike Pittman.
Present.
See, they all have presents. Nice. Okay, with that, we'll go over the last month's meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes, edits, additions, comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes or not.
I move we approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second. Second.
Josh Wilbur,
Approve.
Jerome Vernon,
Approve.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
and Mike Pittman.
Approve.
Okay, so that brings us to our applications. At this point in time, I'll go over the process that we're going to use for those of you that may not be familiar with it. We will bring up the application. You'll see it on the TV screen as well. Brooke, the applicant will have the applicant who is representing the application come up, introduce themselves, and also state their address if they would for us. Then Brooke will go over the application. We'll give a chance for the applicant to then say anything additional that they might want to add for the board to hear. At that point in time, the board will ask any questions or make any comments about the application that they might have. And then I'll ask the audience if they have any that they would want to come up and speak on. And then at that point, we will go through what's called a findings of fact. So that's really referring to our guidelines and going through our guidelines and making sure whether or not the application, what's being requested in the application fits what's in the guidelines. And then at that point, we will take a vote on the application. So pretty simple process. So with that, we will get started. Our first application is 523 East 3rd Street. So we have a, okay. How are you doing?
Yeah.
You would just, is it on? It doesn't look like, I don't see the light. But,
It should be, press the green button, or the little
You
green
see it
sticker.
turn red? On the, there you go.
There it goes, okay.
All right.
So Kim and Jeff Kennard, 523 East 3rd Street.
Okay, great. Brooke, you want to go ahead and go through the application?
This home is a circa 1880 contributing Italianate zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to build a 2-car garage at the top of the driveway facing west. Staff approvals are an aluminum fence in the backyard with 2 gates. This is a mapping, site map showing the setbacks for the garage. To your left, a sketch of the proposed garage, and to your right, showing where the garage would be. And these are architectural renderings showing the size of the garage, which would be 30 by 30. And it's showing the sidewall views and in-wall. These other wall configurations for the front and the side. And that's all we have.
Would you like to add anything that you think we need to hear that she didn't say, or?
No, I think that pretty well summarizes it. It's where the 2 covered cars are all the way back.
Okay.
And we've got, it'll be excavated to put in there.
Right.
We have 2 acres there further up.
So it's going to be at the end of that driveway that we saw, basically facing that.
All the way up at the top of the hill.
Yeah,
Yes.
the turn is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pitch of the roof, it looks like it may be, I don't know, but is it the same kind of pitch as your house, or is that kind of what you're gonna be going for? Because it's.
That roof pitch is probably.
Yeah, that one looks different than the
That's a
other.
higher pitch than what the
Okay.
actual is going to be, because that's Jeff's drawing. It'll be similar to the pitch of our roof, except our roof has, and our house is 1906, and it's a federal style. It's not
Okay.
Italianate,
Okay.
1880. But it has like a flat part on the top, like we're definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
We're not doing the clay tiles, we're doing just
Just the black.
Yeah.
the
Clay
shingles
tiles
Yeah.
are so
that'll
cheap.
look-
Yeah.
Asphalt shingles?
Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board?
We say you're going to do some excavating. That suggests to me that you're gonna be cutting into the toe of the hill a little bit. So I know you own all the way up the hill.
Yes.
It's just
So-
where the dead trees are to the left, just to get, because the
Yeah.
pad is
I'll
20
walk
feet
over and
wide,
show
so
you.
it's like 10 feet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, where these
Maybe-
two cars are sitting, it's still sloped up pretty well. The owner before the last owner, I believe, was gonna build a garage up there, and they started. But this will just be leveled out here. These dead trees will be taken down, and then the excavating company basically, because there's a lot of stumps and rocks here, they were just gonna kind of smooth that hill out for the best drainage for the garage.
So what we're looking at here is not the alley.
No,
No,
that's our
the alley
driveway.
is right
That's our
here.
private
This is our driveway.
That's our private
Yes.
drive.
Yeah.
That was
And so our
put in
property
by
goes all the
Catherine
way to
and
the
Brett.
alley.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then straight
Right.
up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this would just all get cleaned up, and then the garage would go right here.
Yeah, the alley's to the right, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
One little tip, don't let them grind the stumps, have them take the tree roots out, because that's tough when they start to dig your foundation.
Yeah, they, the excavating company came out, they said they were gonna bring a sizable rubber tracked excavator big enough to pull the stumps out of the ground.
Yeah, 'cause you-
Yeah, I've ran into that,
Yeah, good.
yes.
Any other questions?
And the siding, what type of siding have you selected for the garage?
LP,
Oh, hardy board, okay. And with metal garage doors, I suppose.
that,
The package I looked at had like a wood look, I'm not sure, I don't think that they were truly metal, but I think they were, they may be metal.
I think I saw a picture of it in
Yeah.
the larger package.
we're gonna do the carriage
Well, that's what I was
style.
looking for, and I don't see,
Yeah.
Are they aluminum, Brooke?
yes, they are metal.
They may look like wood. I mean,
But
they have
they-
some,
Yeah.
they
they
have
look
some
like
that are
wood,
really.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that might be
Yeah.
what it is.
Let me look at the packet and see, because I thought we had seen, oh, we did have a picture of it.
Metal, yeah. I mean, that's. There. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely metal.
right.
I know.
Looks kind of like a carriage door type
Yes.
look, and then it, you know, I assume it raises up like a normal garage door.
Yes.
Right.
Correct,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
On his sketch, it shows kind of the configuration, but I'm looking to see if there's another image in here.
Yeah, and the man door will match the garage doors. I know it doesn't show it on that
Yeah.
build picture you do on the package, but it will
I apologize.
identically match the garage doors as far as.
Man door's gonna be facing the house.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
You'll also have the handles on each of the overhead doors?
yes,
Like you have there?
yes, like the
Yeah.
carriage style,
Yeah.
yes.
Like that.
Right,
That's-
right, except it has
I found
lights
a
on
picture of
that.
the garage
Yeah.
door.
Oh, we're
Those lights
planning
are-
on putting lights on it.
Yes.
Oh, you mean the sight lights?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, yes,
are
yeah.
you actually getting sight light? You know,
We're gonna
some-
put lights on it.
Some
Yeah. Like,
window, are you putting windows in the door, or in the door? No.
no, well, we.
Because it doesn't look like it here. but-
Yeah, as of now, we really didn't,
We probably prefer there not be windows in the
Yeah.
door, so people
Just
can't
security.
see our.
Could be insulated,
cars
Yeah,
and all.
inside.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
On the LP siding, typically you see this in a couple of different versions. Have the really rough cut version, which a lot of people think, oh, that looks historic because look how rough it is. Looks like it just came out of a sawmill. And they avoid the smooth. But what we like to encourage people is to use the smooth because actually, historically, the smooth really does mirror what was here back in the day much better than the rough does.
Yes, that's what we used, at a house that we remodeled on Main
Oh,
Street.
okay,
We
great.
used, that's exactly what we used was the LP engineered siding, the smoother look, and it's
Okay.
beautiful,
Great.
yes.
You're way ahead of me.
Yeah.
One step ahead of it.
As usual. All right. Any other questions?
Okay. Any questions, comments from the audience? All right, hearing none. Owen, you want to take the crack at our findings back?
Yes, I would say that this project is compatible with the new construction infill building residential guidelines found on page 69 through 71, because it is compatible with adjacent buildings with respect to its height, the materials that are being used, its setback, its scale, proportions, the roof form, orientation with regards to the street, and its placement.
Okay. Ken?
I agree, same reasons.
All right. Jerry?
I agree, same reasons.
Tom?
I agree for the same reasons.
Mike?
I agree for the same reason.
Jerome?
I agree for the same reason.
And I too agree for the same reasons. So with that, we'll go to motion. I'll accept a motion.
Okay, I move that, well, I wanted to dominate. Somebody else.
Which one?
You want me to go ahead?
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. Based on the preceding findings of fact, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Jeff and Kim Kennard for the proposed construction of a new 30 by 30 foot two-car garage with a metal overhead doors, LP siding, metal main entrance door, and asphalt shingle roofing, located at 523 East 3rd Street.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Brooke?
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approved.
Thomas Stark,
Approve.
Owen McCall,
Approve.
Jerry Wade,
Approved.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approved.
All right, congratulations. You'll get your COA in the mail. You can begin work as long as you have proper building permits, so congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right, our next application is 124 East Street. Familiar applicant.
Yeah, how we doing?
Marcus, you want to state your name and address for us?
Yeah, Marcus Gray, 1000 East Dugan Hollow Road, Madison.
Brooke?
This home is an 1870 circa contributing shotgun, zoned historic district residential. The COA request is to remove the front section of the home, which is 22 by 46 feet, and build a new structure attached to the existing rear of the home, using materials that conform to the guidelines. A site visit update, extensive damage due to rot and termites. Large portions of the north wall are missing due to extreme deterioration. And there is a major construction issue on the north wall as well. It was not properly built when it was first put in. So I'll go through the pictures. These are the pictures Mr. Gray submitted, showing the condition of the exterior, and you can see that north wall on the picture to the right, where portions of that wall are just missing completely.
That picture is actually on the inside.
Right, yes,
Yeah,
that's the interior.
That's the neighbor's house. It abuts the
Mhm.
siding, so it's only 2 inches from that wall stud. So if you open up the house, we gutted it, and it's just the neighbor's wall. So you couldn't side the house if you wanted to.
Wow.
It's like they laid the brick right against the wall of this house. I assume that's the only way they could have done it, so.
Interesting.
These pictures on the left show the exterior, and the right, the interior, and another view of that north wall where, like I said, the deterioration is severe. Left picture showing portions of the porch, and a right picture is a close-up of more deterioration on the north wall. And these are some pictures I took when I did my site evaluation for the conditions report. Just showing examples of the deterioration. The picture on the right, I know it's kind of hard to see, but if you look under that red portion, you can see underneath the house, the floor joist is, sponge. You can touch it and it falls apart. It's pretty deteriorated. You can see other pictures of the exterior, left and right. And then on the left, someone had asked for a measurement of the porch, so it's 6 foot by 30. And then on the right, you can see more deterioration on that porch. The wall facing, or excuse me, this is an eastern portion of the back of the rear of the porch. There was an entrance there at one time. You can see it's been boarded up. And if you look at the top, you can see the porch roofing is just in terrible condition as well. And then if you look at the picture to the left here, the concrete skirting, the house has settled because due to the rotting, it shifted, so it caused the concrete skirting to bump out. And the picture on the right shows how the two homes, abut each other. And then these are pictures that he submitted, or images of, that would be the portion he's going to demo. And this is site plans with his setbacks. This would be the proposed site plan. The proposed layout of the new home. You can see on the west side, it would be a door and 2 windows on that, instead of the configuration with the porch. And this would be a picture of the front facing west. And that's all we have.
Marcus, one, I applaud you for continuing to take on a lot of these dilapidated homes and fixing them up. 'Cause I know you've done a lot so far in Madison, so thank you very much. First, so the current one is right up against this other structure, so tell me what your plans are.
Well, that's just the front half of the house,
Yeah.
whatever those measurements were.
Yeah.
They abut the neighbors to the north. There's really no way to fix that
Yeah.
besides demo, but there is a camelback that was added. I mean, I would assume that's 100 years old, the camelback that's on the back of the house. And what I'm gonna do is take off the front half and then just use that existing framing of the camelback and carry that directly forward.
Okay,
As a
so
shotgun.
then it will not touch the.
Yeah, there was a
That's what I
picture
thought.
of the
Okay.
backyard, and you can see that the camelback is actually 4 feet off of the property line
Yep, yep.
to the north. And I'm just gonna carry that. It's gonna be a small house,
Yeah.
but that's what
It's
we
a
can do with it.
2-bedroom, small, yeah.
Yeah, 2-bedroom.
Yep.
So about 50 inches between the two properties, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then I'm assuming new guttering and perhaps maybe a French drain to make sure that.
It'll be all new gutters. I mean, it'll be shotgun style gutters on both sides of the house.
Okay.
Probably standard gutters, not half round on this one. And then, yep, all new foundation, water main, sewer main going in. I guess the sewer main supposedly is broke under the sidewalk, so there'll be extensive excavating of the property. Pretty much everything's leaving the property besides the camelback, and then go all new foundation up
Okay.
to match the lines of the camelback forward.
And why not half round? Gutters.
I probably won't do them on this one. I'm gonna go with shingle roof most likely. When I do that, I just go with the newer gutters. If I was going standing seam or something, I might use half round, but not expecting to do that on this.
So, I'm trying to figure out the front porch area here, so are you gonna keep this existing front porch the way?
No.
The way it is?
No,
Or are you
there will not
moving
be a
the
porch.
entry to the front of the house now?
What's that?
Are you moving the entry to the front of the house?
Yeah, there will be a front door. There is also gonna be a door on the side, but it's not gonna be covered. It's not gonna have a porch. That's gonna have a sidewalk on
So
the
you're gonna
south
utilize
side
that
that goes
porch
all the way
area.
down. There'll be an entrance on the side where the sidewalk goes all the way down the property as it does now. And then an entrance at the front, like that, or the door may end up on the left side and then 2 windows on the right, but there will not be a covered porch. And by taking 4 feet off of the house on the north side to make space, I couldn't put a covered porch anyways.
You're just
Unless I'm gonna do a
regaining
5
some
foot
of the
wide
space
house.
back from the existing porch, that's gonna be interior.
Yes, well, that front porch exactly from that wall where you could see the old entrance at the back of that porch, all of that will be gone.
I got it.
And then that would be where the camelback is, the back side of the house. So where the porch line is, the end of the side porch where the railing would be, that'll be a wall that goes, that's enclosed. That's gonna be the
Got
south
it.
side of the wall of the house.
Brooke, do we know, is the porch historic? I mean, do you have any information on whether it's historic or not? Was it added later?
No, the porch, is an original feature of the home.
In the two doors?
Yes.
In the two doors?
Correct, yes.
In the two entry doors?
Well, there were actually, I think, 3, weren't there?
Yes, there were 3.
One boarded up.
Mhm, 2 on the north and 1 on the west.
So are you gonna have any awning or anything over the door? You're not planning to do anything?
If
It's just gonna be
I'm
relatively-
planning on separating the two houses and coming back 4 feet, if I wanna leave a porch over there, I'm gonna have a 6-foot wide house.
No, I'm
And then
not.
the porch will
Yeah,
be-
I'm not.
you know what I
Forget
mean?
the porch, I just meant as you're walking up to
Oh,
the
on
door,
the
are
face
you
of
gonna
the
have
house?
anything over
Yes,
that?
most likely it's gonna have an awning, it's
Yeah,
not gonna be
that's what I was
a
saying.
large porch, because
Right.
it's coming outward, it's, I don't know the exact, space between that and the sidewalk. I won't have a covered porch area on the front by any means, but I will have an awning, maybe some crickum crackum up there.
Yeah, that's pretty
Like
normal
what
when you
I've
see
done.
something where you're done, because you're basically making like a shotgun house, right?
That's
So
exactly what I'm
that's,
doing.
you would expect to see something. Okay.
LP siding,
Yeah,
and
Some
what
sort
are
of
you
hardy.
using for your windows?
it'll be wood or it'll be aluminum clad.
Okay. What's the configuration of your windows? 1/1, 2/2?
Well, they'll be double hung 3050s. The standard that I would need, by permit for.
No, I meant I meant the muttons, in each of the, so double hung, when you have
Sidelines.
2 windows and then 2,
Yes, it's
Painted
just gonna be
glass.
1 and 1.
Yeah.
So,
okay, 1 and 1.
yeah, 1 and 1.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I do want to add real quick on that note, the windows that are in the home currently are replacement aluminum windows. They're not the originals, obviously.
The ones that are there.
Right, correct. The ones that are there now, yeah, most of them are missing, but the ones that are there.
Gives you that in what it's gonna- Any other questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
for this project and the next project, I'd like to consider the demo separately than the rebuild. So address the demo first, then rebuild.
Okay, is everyone else okay with that?
Josh, I didn't hear it.
He wants to consider the demo separate of the rebuild
For this
for
particular.
this
okay.
project, and the next one, I think,
And
too,
then,
right?
yes.
Is everyone in agreement with that?
I guess the applicant, I mean, if you can't demolish it, you're gonna try to rehab it with what's there.
There's no way to fix the water issue on the north side of the house. I mean, I got the pitch of the roof going straight into a wall, which just goes underneath the house, unless I was to cut out a big section, trough gutter. Nonetheless, I would have to take out that whole, I have to separate the houses unless I, wrap plastic or something. I cannot reside the house, so.
Looked to me like somebody had attempted to put some gutters along that side against the neighbor's house and.
Yeah, I'm sure they tried
to-
something.
tried
It's
to
probably been a
address the
while.
water issue in the past and
Oh, yeah.
obviously nothing's worked and.
I mean, it needs to be re-roofed, framed, and there's just nothing there to really save. I mean, there's no floor joists in the entire front half of the house. Studs on the walls, everything needs to be replaced on that whole north side, along with foundation issues.
Yeah,
It'd be too expensive. It would sit like it is for.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I've done 2 of these, and I
Yeah.
agree with you. If you can't do the demo, you really can't do the project.
It'll be-
It's very difficult.
It'll look like it does.
So I think it's all one project.
I think so too.
So you two would like to keep it all as one?
I
not
would like to keep it
separate
all as
out.
one.
Yeah, for this one.
You'd like to do to
Yeah.
that, and you'd like to separate it,
I'm fine with separating it.
and you wanna separate it. And Jerry, you wanna take it all together or separate it?
all the other fine with me.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep it all together. Okay. On this one, Ken.
That's
we'll-
fine.
We'll consider this. All right, any other questions? Okay. Any questions, comments from the audience?
Yeah, I'm,
Please come on up and, if you would, and say your name and your address.
Randy Lakeman, I'm the resident on 126, the house that abuts this house, and I just wanted to say I'm very supportive of what Chad has brought forward, and I'm very excited that he's taking this on.
Are you acceptable with the demolition of that front part?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can you express why?
If you saw from one of the photographs how the house is actually literally one of the walls, whether, I don't know which house is the older, the shotgun or the brick house. I don't think anyone does. But whatever is the older house was used as the wall for the newer house. And so they literally are, like my brick wall is right, sit there. It would not be, I mean, I love the fact that we can separate those two homes.
And
we
has
have
it
the water
caused you
damage.
problems? That's what I'm saying. Has it
Yes,
caused you
of
guys
course.
problems? Okay.
Yes, we have all the wicking and the things that come up from
Yeah,
having
that's
those
why.
homes sitting right there, and that, no guttering and stuff, so, yeah, so I'm very supportive of this.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the audience? All right, hearing none, Tom, I want to have you go through findings of fact if you would.
Sure.
I see, look at that. I messed that up.
Hang on just a second. On pages 68 for the residential guidelines for demolition, the loss of historic building impacts the individual building and surrounding structures. But again, we know we have such issues with that. I happened to look up through one of the windows and I could see the sky, so I know water's been pouring in between those two buildings for who knows how long. And I'm sure the damage to Mr. Lakeman's property is, with all that moisture going in, is going to be constant until that's fixed or separated. Demolition may be appropriate if the building does not contribute. It does contribute, but again, with the problems in the original construction, I think that we can move ahead with that. Stabilizing the structure for rehabilitation is not possible due to the extensive rot and also termite damage, and not advisable due to the damage to the house to the north because of drainage issues. And I believe that it meets all of those guidelines, and that we should have you go ahead and start the project.
You want to keep, because we're taking everything as one, so you can keep going with the,
Sure.
the new build.
Yep.
Thank you.
For the new construction, let's see. Additions to historic homes should be located at the rear of buildings, not on the front sides. But you are basically trying to reconstruct what was there with a few modifications. So I think we meet that. Additions should be secondary, smaller, and simpler than the original building in scale, design, and placement. Sounds like you are bringing forward from the back building, I guess was the kitchen originally, the
Yes.
camelback part,
Yeah.
and matching that all the way to the front. So I think that that actually is a better design for that property. Additions should be compatible design in keeping with the original building's design, roof shape, materials, color and location of window, door, and cornice heights. Again, like you said, if you put the porch back on, you're gonna have a 6-foot living room. So I think we have to take that into consideration, and I think what you're proposing actually will be a huge improvement to that property and solve a lot of problems for Mr. Lakeman as well as for you.
Mike?
I also admire you for taking it on, Chad. Nice job. I agree for the same reason.
Jerome?
I agree for the same reasons.
Owen?
Well, I disagree. I think this addition violates all kinds of these numbered things that were just mentioned, almost every one of them. But we're in a tough situation here with this design. This is, interfering with the structural integrity of the house to the north. You know, unless you're going to actually do what probably would have been done back in the day, usually you see a different solution, and that is to just hang your roof right off of that brick wall of the neighbor. You know, your property line probably goes right up to the face of that brick. So that would be one solution. The other solution is, of course, what you're proposing, which is to back off enough so you have some air circulation and drainage ability in between the two structures. So even though, to me, this is against the guidelines, I feel like it's compelling to go ahead. They're guidelines. They're not absolutely chiseled in granite rules. This is a situation where we do need to make an exception to the guidelines as far as additions. And with regards to the demolition, I think it's the same thing. This is demolition by neglect, which we specifically say we should not allow. And you know, I sort of object to the fact that it was in our packet that we got. I'm not sure if it was this property or the next one. It said the new owner. We have a new owner, which implies that you weren't the one that let it be demolished by neglect, so therefore you should not be held to that guideline. But I disagree with that, because if we do that, if that's what we start saying, that we're going to make sure you made a good investment. You know, and we don't know what you paid for it, but somehow we're in a position we have to make sure you can make a positive business deal here. Then we're put in the position as soon as something changes hands, now all of a sudden one of the guidelines we just start ignoring, which would just lead people to say, well, you know, I've let this structure neglect, but I'm just going to form an LLC with my dog's the president, my cat's the vice president, and I'm the treasurer. So then, you know, I get out of that one. So we can't have that kind of thing. So I think all owners, we should not even know whether you've owned this for 50 years or for 5 minutes. They should not come into it. But again, on the other hand, I think in this instance, I don't see any way around demolishing this, but just because of the structure is incompatible structurally with the structure to its north, and it will just sort of self-destruct if you leave it with this tiny gap between it and the structure to the north. So again, I think we're violating the guidelines allowing this demolition, but in this instance, I feel like it is a case where we should violate the guidelines. It's a long way of saying I agree with what was said before.
That's good.
Ken, I agree with Thomas for the same reasons, because it's shorter.
Jared.
Thank you for taking the project on, and I agree as well.
Yeah, again, I agree, but you know, you took the project on. You're keeping the Camelback. I think with Owen's comments, I agree in a lot of ways, but you are keeping a historic part of that building still. And there's a lot of people, I think, that would come up here before the board and want to take all of it down and rebuild something else. And you're also taking this and making a shotgun structure, which is very relevant in Madison downtown. You see a lot of shotgun homes, and I think this will fit in very well. It's not very much. So that part I can applaud you with. So as you know, you hear the other side, I'll give you this good side on it. So appreciate it. Okay, with that, accept the motion.
I would make a motion that we, based upon the findings of fact for the property located at 124 East Street, make a motion that the Madison Historic Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness for the removing this section of the home, the 22 by 46, and build a new structure attached to the existing rear of the home using materials that conform to the guidelines.
I second.
Josh Holbert,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approved.
Owen McCall,
Approved.
Jerry Wade,
Approved.
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
Mike Pittman,
Approved.
and Thomas Stark.
Approved.
One of the things that we usually ask for demos, and I'm not sure, Brooke, if you got all kinds of pictures or not, but I know the Historical Society has asked that, you know, before you demo a property that is considered historic, to please take pictures of all around the outside and the inside, just so they have the pictures. So I don't know if you would do that or allow Brooke to come and, you know, assist her.
We
while she-
have a lot of pictures I could send.
Okay,
to
that would be great. You
whomever.
can send those to Brooke, so she can pass them on to the Historic
Yeah, I
Society
can do
before
that.
you demo. That'd be great. Thank you very much. And
Alright.
you're obviously approved for their COA, so you'll get that in the mail, and you know to have all the proper building permits, but
course.
you can start as soon as you have them.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, our third application is 718 West Third Street. We have a, come on up if you would. Hey, you. Would you state your name and address for us?
Todd Miller, 118 East Main Street.
All right. Brooke?
This circa 1890 contributing shotgun is zoned Historic District Residential. The COA request is to demolish the current structure and rebuild to the exact footprint. Also, to add on to the existing floor plan, either at the rear of the home as a single level extension or as a camelback addition. There are no relevant staff approvals. And a site visit update, they did allow us to tour the home. Tom Stark and I went to do that. So what we had seen to update the structural report is despite widespread termite damage, the structure may be able to be restored with repairs and replacement of damaged wood. There is evidence of some repairs, like some new floor joists and whatnot already in place. The seal plate is deteriorated in places, but this one is, there definitely is damage, but I did notice that the possibility for repair is there. These are pictures of the exterior of the home, front and rear. That is the west side and the east side. These are, the left picture is some interior damage to show some of the studs definitely will need to be replaced. The picture on the right, you can see that the front porch was so deteriorated, and there were some issues that had to be removed already. And pictures to your left and right show more damage. Same here. These are close-ups of some of the termite damage on some of the studs. A picture here on the left, the left picture, you can see where a new stud was placed next to the original to help stabilize the building in both those areas. And you can clearly see the gapping due to deterioration at that seal plate level. This is the original floor plan of the home. And this one is one of the options for an addition. The picture, or the illustration, excuse me, all the way to the right, if you look at the rear of it, it shows the extension. So the addition would be just a one-level rear addition on the home. And this is the second option, to do a camelback addition. This would be the downstairs drawings. And then the up. That's all we have.
All right. Would you like to add anything to that?
This is my wife's project, and she's unable to attend the meeting.
Okay.
This is the second time.
Does she left you like this?
I think the concern is that we went in, she went in and started, replacing lumber like they said. But I think the concern became safety and all the contractors we talk to, they're like, man, you'd just be better off tearing it down. So I think we're just exploring that possibility here. Whatever you guys decide, we'll, you know, come on, I've done it, so.
Questions?
But the I just wanna say,
Yeah, no,
the
you're-
termite damage is horrible. I mean, it's horrible. Anyway, sorry.
Have you had a pest control company come out and look? Because if you do put new wood, that may not really solve your problem then. If there's that much
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Okay.
Brent Miller
Yeah.
says the worst he's ever seen, which, I mean, he said that. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, fine. Any questions, comments from the board? Sure you guys have some questions.
I had a question on the drawing, the camelback design that you had indicated. Because the house is on it's a downward slope in the back of the house, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, well, and that's showing level ground there. But was that, shouldn't it, what I'm assuming is that the first floor part, the bottom floor section in the front, as we see there, that the front of the house will meet up on that left-hand side of that drawing.
That would be the front, yes.
Okay, and then,
Facing south.
so it's gonna be like, you're gonna have, are you gonna bring in new soil? How are you gonna support the back side of that house with that?
Well, I would think we'd have to bring in, you know, and do.
Bring in new
it to
soil
grade,
or
basically.
put it on
Yeah,
pillars
I
or?
would think, yeah. I really don't know how we would.
Yeah, it's not gonna sit level.
No,
I also
But it
noticed,
is on a downslope, I mean.
it is on a downslope.
I
That was
brought-
my question was that two-story section, you're gonna you have to bring in a lot of soil to fill that in.
I brought Mr. Dwayne Hauser, who's the contractor on the job, so
Oh, okay.
maybe he can answer some of
There
these
you go.
questions.
There's about 2 or 3 foot of slope towards the back of the house, so it's not a whole lot. You probably do just a regular foundation,
Oh,
but it's not a whole lot.
I see.
so I noticed on the diagram that it doesn't really show how far you're going out with the camelback addition.
That I don't know, it all depends if we got approval for that too. There's also a power pole right there where the main power goes in between, so we'd have to get approval for that. Because when we go up, we're gonna be really close to the wires. I'm not sure the footage.
So.
But the main thing with the original structure, the termites ate all the way through, up, through the ceiling joists, back down the other side. I think they're holding hands holding that thing together. They also, they're up in the rafters, so you can see where they ate through the rafters, right in the very front. So when I leaned the ladder to check out the roof, the thing started to tilt. So I got the heck off of there, threw extra braces in there, which is the pictures that she had, those little short 2x4s, and put braces in there, and here we are.
Do we have the, Scott's, site report?
And Scott came by, yeah, I talked to him about it. He said because it's a hazard the way it is right now.
In the physical conditions report that I wrote, I believe I put in there Scott's opinion, that his opinion was that the house was deteriorated to the point, that it would need demolition.
It's,
So
when I leaned the extension ladder on it, it actually moved. So it's time to get out of there.
Have you looked at your setbacks then? Because if you're that close to utilities, that makes me worry that your
There's 3
setbacks
foot
are
in
gonna
between the
be-
one building. I'm guessing because I can't open the door there, it's that close to the other building. That's the side that's sunk 6 inches. The other side, I'm guessing there's 8 foot, 10 foot in between the next house. So there's a little bit of room there. But I think the property, he had it surveyed, which I don't know if we got word back on that, where the property lines are.
I have a
think-
site plan I can pass
If you
around.
I think it's right on the property lines.
Yeah, that's making me a little nervous.
But I'm not sure. The building's 15 foot wide, And I'm guessing, I never measured the length, probably 45 feet. It's a shotgun.
Yeah, because if you're really that close, you may have to get your setbacks approved before we can
Yeah.
do what we
We're
need to.
at 3.5 and 5.
So Josh, should we just be looking at the demolition piece of this and
Could
until we
be.
get all of that?
It could be, that's my concern, you know, with, your new build and what you're wanting to do with that new build. That's, my concern is when you look at that, if you get into that, into your setbacks being too close, you may have to go in front of the planning commission.
So if you wanted this footprint, you might have to repair this. See what he's saying?
That's my point.
Once you have a new construction, then you have new rules.
Yep.
As to the setbacks will be enforced, and therefore you can't have this.
Well, you could, so basically, we would be looking just at demo, and then you'd have to come back here after you go in front of planning commission to get setbacks approved before new construction could go up.
Okay.
That's what we're saying, is that the
Right.
process may have to be lengthened out
Yeah.
simply just because of that.
And it's-
So that's really close. That's really
Jeff,
close.
If I may?
Yes.
Our process in the office is that they can come to historic board first before going to BZA. And
So we can approve based on conditional approval by planning commission?
we can approve period
Is that?
or deny, and if BZA
Not
denies
BZA, I'm
it.
not worried about BZA, I'm worried about planning commission. They'd have to go in front of planning commission, not BZA.
Okay, I thought you were talking about setbacks.
Yeah, and planning commission does setbacks.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm on
Okay.
that board, that's why.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, no.
So what would happen is if plan commission denies it, then they would need to adjust their plan
Mhm.
to something that would be acceptable and then bring it back to us for approval.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, and then, so the way we've done in the office is our policy is whatever's easier for the applicant because the way the meeting dates fall. So that's how we've been doing it.
I mean, yeah, okay.
But we would need also all of the design specs, so. you
That's
know,
the hard part though,
Yeah.
because if you are looking at that, then you may have to change your design in order to meet the setbacks and all that too. That's the reason why I would.
Well, sounds like even if the demo was approved, we
You
may
may have-
stop and go and
Yes.
see, you know.
I would, because I don't know that you guys are set on anything yet, and that one thing we can't do is tell you which design to do. I just think though I would really look at what design fits well for that property. If assuming you would get
I
approval.
think we
for
want to
demo.
go back with, you know.
Come back and say, okay,
The original.
we've looked at it, here's what's gonna fit, here it meets the setbacks, everything is good, because I think you'd be, I don't wanna say it's foolish to just say, well, let's throw something out here now, and then you go and then you gotta change it all, and then come back again with something different. This board would be like confused with what was.
Well, it just got complicated with the setback thing, right? So.
It could be,
Yeah.
but utilities is what threw it for me, because usually the utility companies are pretty good about putting things closer to where, that gets, you're still within your setbacks and everything like that. But if you start getting real close to a utility pole, then you're probably too close to the setback, and then now you got problems. And so you could, and so you may have to also talk to the utility company, that's another
Yeah.
thing too.
Well, I think what Josh is saying is true, and I think if you decide to rehabilitate the existing footprint,
Yeah.
that's historic structure.
That was the original plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you do a new back end on it, that changes the ballgame.
Right.
And it
That's what
sounds
I
like
was
you
trying
haven't
to
made up
say
your
too,
mind
yeah.
yet, so I think until you decide that, because we did one that was right on the property line, and it was on the original footprint. And we kept it to the original footprint, which, as my wife says, it's a shotgun trailer. 16 by 58, so it's not big.
But those are grandfathered in when they're already there.
So it was already there, but if you go with the new design, that changes the ballgame.
Yep.
So
The addition on the back, was that changed the ball?
it changes the ballgame,
Yeah.
because you couldn't build straight back, it's too tight, based on what I saw.
Really?
You might be too tight. I'm not saying you are, and he's good at this stuff too,
Okay.
but, that's what I'm saying. You
On the
might
west
want
side
to
of the
really
back.
look at that, and then obviously, you know, you said you're getting your property surveyed. I don't know if it's been surveyed yet, and they've done all the,
She had surveyed that.
yeah, but if you only got, you know, 3 feet, if you're real close to that three and a half, you're real
Well,
close to the
and
setback
that
rules.
house is not sitting square on the lot, it's
Yeah.
turned, so you may be 3.5 feet in front, you're not I guarantee you're not 3.5 feet in back.
Usually you want to have 6 feet.
Okay, so we need to investigate the setback issue. and,
Yep.
Go from there. Is that
Well,
what I'm hearing?
let's, you know, the thing is, if you want to go forward with the demolition and us looking at that, we can do that tonight. That part we can look at
Let's do
tonight.
that.
But if you are thinking, well, maybe we'll just keep the, you know, historic home and we'll try to make that work and work with that, then that's a whole different.
Did I mention it's my wife's project?
I did. Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
This is your chance to do it, but she's not here.
Yeah, she just, good luck with her.
That's true.
It was my understanding where I was just here to,
Right.
for the demo. So the
Okay.
rest of this I'll bring up and I'm sure she'll address it.
Brooke, can you put up Scott's comments of his review or?
Let me,
I know that'll help me.
Yeah. So when did you guys purchase this property?
It's 3 or 4 months ago. Maybe longer.
Okay. It's.
I'm kind of thinking that lot goes on an angle too with the house.
That's what we.
It does.
Well, I mean, it's good. Yeah.
So off. I'm not saying it's great. I'm just telling you that's what we look at. A lot of times you look at the, you know, it's impossible. Okay. Well, but that's why you get approval from us to go ahead and butt up right on the setback. I mean, you don't have to have the proper setbacks. We can approve to not go by that, simply just because, yeah, we've done that for different houses.
But you've gotta have a design.
You have to have a design, yep.
You have to have a design.
You have to have a design. Very true.
Yeah, we didn't have Scott's comments in our packet.
Huh. Did he send you an email or did he actually?
no, it was a verbal conversation, and I
Oh.
apologize, I was thinking it was in either the project brief or the condition report, and it is not, they were verbal comments.
Can you recap?
Well, after he went out to, Miss Melissa came in, and asked him to come out and take a look at the structure. When he got back, we had a conversation about, he was weighing the option of, doing a demo because it was an unsafe structure. He decided to leave it up to the board, but he did say that he felt that the deterioration in the home would warrant an unsafe structure, declaration. But he was going to leave it to the board to determine if we were going to allow a demo or have a rebuild. He did say that rebuild is a possibility, but you're essentially, I mean, de facto demo because you're putting in all new wood. So that was his opinion.
So,
Did he do it? Yeah, oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did he do it simply because they already had the application in for the demo, and so that's why he left it like that?
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, being the building inspector, really, I mean, he should make that call and not put it
Correct.
on us, but if, you know, I guess I understand that in a way too, so. How long ago was that?
Melissa came in, it was, let me see, so she submitted on the 7th, so this conversation would have taken place, probably about the 5th. It was just a day or two before she submitted the application.
Okay.
But she'd submitted the application, but I needed additional things from her. So he was able to look at the application as well. And he did sign off but he didn't write any comments. I mean, he just said that it needed a building permit or demo permit, but,
Tom?
I was just gonna say that, I did, go with Brooke, and we had a site visit, and, I did see, you know, the damage that you were talking about, and while I'm not a building inspector, I mean, most of the historic material in that shell of the house looked like it could be saved, reinforced. I noticed also from the back to about the middle section, you have new floor joists in already. I, you know, personally would like to see that front part, or that house that you're working with right now, saved, and it looks like it can be saved. At least that's my, you know, what I saw when I went in. And granted, I couldn't go in because it's all been excavated for the infrastructure, plumbing, wiring, what have you. So I kind of stood right on the threshold and looked in. But that was my perspective.
Why do you think it could be saved? I mean, Tom.
There was still a lot of good wood in it.
You think there was a lot of good wood?
From what I could see, yeah. Again, I couldn't go in, and you know, I couldn't get on the roof, so.
There is a side door that we can get you in there, so you can walk right into the middle if you guys would like to come back and look again, or and I could meet you there, or.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan originally, to come in the side door,
Right.
and that must have got locked, so we went through the front door. And I really couldn't get, you know, any further than the threshold.
I mean, you know, I think if you're willing to let us come and actually go, you know, possibly go in, if it's safe enough to go in, because I think that's, you know, we've got a building inspector telling us it's possibly an unsafe structure. There's two things I'd like. I like a building inspector's report, you know, to actually see it. And two, you know, for us, you know, if he truly thinks it's an unsafe structure, I think that's almost already a done deal. I mean, he's already making that call. But if he doesn't really think it's at that point, he doesn't really want to make that call, then I would like, you know, to maybe have an opportunity to actually truly see it, to see how much wood truly is good or not. Because at the end of the day, it's demolishing a structure, especially the house, it's, you know, that has been there for years, is not something we really want to do. And if we want it to be the last resort.
It's not something we wanna do.
And I know, you guys obviously
We
have
had the
already
idea,
tried.
we were gonna go in and
Yeah.
piecemeal it up, and then everybody's telling us.
To demolish it, right?
Yeah, so that's why we're exploring this.
And you know, he's putting a ladder on it, and you know, house is shifting, and
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
bad shape.
So I think it's just one of those that for us to feel very convinced. I mean, I don't know what the other board members think. I think for me to feel really convinced, I'd like to probably see it, or at least have building inspector say, no, you don't need to see it because it really is unsafe, and I'm gonna deem it as such. And if so, then we don't go. So,
It's fine.
what
Leave the
does
door
the other
unlocked.
board member, what do you guys all think?
I agree with you.
I agree with you.
I'd like to wait.
So, let's go to our building inspector. Ask him, and if he does essentially say it's an unsafe building, then he needs to do the report, and then he needs to just follow through with it. And then we don't need to worry about this part. We'll just worry then about the design, right?
Yeah.
But you guys need to find a design and actually fixate on the design that you really want to do. Because then you need to look at the setbacks from that design, what that's gonna be, is it gonna violate any of those? If it doesn't, then you don't have to worry about that part of it, you won't have to go in front of the planning commission. But then you bring that design, the design that you really want to, if it ends up being that, for sure, and then we can look at the new structure at that point. If he doesn't give the unsafe, then Brooke can set up times for each of us to come. We can only have 2 at a time, so, you know, unfortunately, we can't all come. We can have 2 at a time come. Especially me and Mike. And,
That way if it collapses, there's still.
yeah, there's still some of us to
I'm sorry.
No,
I don't think it's quite that bad.
there's some good dark humor. But no, then we could try to get in, or at least be able to see in from the side, see in from the front if we can't actually go inside. And then we'll have more information when we would meet again, with this. And, because you're probably gonna take that kind of time anyway, looking at your setbacks and everything, you know, so you're probably gonna take some of this time anyway, but I think that's the right thing to do. If you're willing to, if you aren't willing to do any of this, and you want us to really truly still look at the demolition tonight and have to vote on it, we, are obligated to do that, but it might not work out in your favor if we do. I'm not saying it will or it won't, I'm just saying that it might not.
You put me in a worse position. Well, I mean,
And if we do
you
vote.
tell me,
Yeah.
based on that statement, I'm gonna say no, let's kick it down
Okay.
the road.
And we can, what we do is we will, take a vote to, move her application to next month,
Yeah.
basically. And, I'm pretty sure they will all approve to do that, and then we'll get all this going as soon as, we can. So she'll get going with the building inspector, and then then we'll get in and look at it as soon as possible, so that we are ready to go next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
If you're willing to do that, then
It
that's
is
what
what it
we'll
is.
take a vote on. To
I
actually-
don't think there's any need to take a vote.
Well, we'll take a vote on moving the application to next.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is that, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, so,
I'll make the motion, we move the application next month.
Well, if I may, real quick,
Yes.
we do have some people here for public comment.
oh, that's
If
true,
you
my
don't
fault,
mind,
my fault, so,
um,
yeah, I forgot that, my fault. So, I'll, open up to the public.
Hi, my name's Mark Paterno. I'm here on behalf of 716 West 3rd. It's the house next door. I'm also a licensed real estate broker, state of Indiana, but just here as a neighbor today, and actually not trying to stop Todd or Melissa from doing anything. We definitely welcome the investment dollars, and I know the challenges you're up for sure. I did have a couple of questions though, but it sounds like maybe we'll have time to revisit some of these questions, saying that, we're gonna postpone it. But one of the biggest questions I had was the setback that came up. Because the reason I bring this up, and I agree with the board, Todd, that if you demo it, assuming that there's gonna be a space to build behind it, you might be in a scenario where you're actually doing new construction on another 600 square foot home, and that might not be as financially sound as maybe trying to apply for like a dilapidated structures grant or something, because that's what we got on the one next door, and it was like a $25,000 grant. This would probably certainly qualify if there's any in the city that does. So that might be something to think about, is, maybe even if it goes down to just the stone foundation, but that grant money comes in, it makes sense. But if I may, I do have, so this is, Brooke, are these the slides that I had? So, and I've actually worked with this contractor quite a bit while I've been down there. We've had some good times, and I'm sure Mr. Pittman can tell you that, probably does make more sense normally to demolish a structure and rebuild it from the ground up. But again, those setbacks are something that I'd want more time to kind of digest too.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but this is 716, is that correct? Pictures of
Correct, yeah,
716, not 78.
Yeah, so that was our house, so it was kind of in a similar state. So now we were able to salvage our structure, but again, it's a very expensive proposition. But there are some plus sides, especially if you have to salvage some of the original front material. It makes a lot of sense to save the structure there. But we also took a lot of those ceiling joists. A lot of them were completely gone, but we rearranged them, and now we have a vaulted ceiling with all the original exposed beams. So there are some cool things you can do to bring up the value as well. But again, I'm not here more for the demo. I'm more for if we did proceed with the demo, what the plans were with the new structure. So I do have a copy of a survey that I had completed. So if I could, I only have one copy, but I'm happy to pass it
Yeah,
around.
you could bring it up if you would, and then we'll give it back to you.
So one question I had was, so we just got a variance for a 0-foot setback, where a proposed garage is going in. And so they are kind of angled that way, so if Todd does decide to build, I'm just curious if there's gonna be any kind of issues there, with that. So you all can keep that copy actually, but,
Okay, we'll make sure, Brooke, you have the copy and then get back.
I
Yeah,
can
but
give that back to
that's
you.
exactly what I was thinking though, when you, especially these angled type properties and like that, it makes it tougher, but yes.
What was the name of your grant that you got, the $25,000 for?
it's the dilapidated structures grant.
Is that something?
It's Pace.
It's Pace?
Pace,
Okay.
yes.
Pace grant.
So have you applied for that grant?
I'm not sure she has or not.
Okay.
It may be something to bring up to her though, Don.
She mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So I don't know.
I'm happy to help Todd, like, I'm not trying to
You're
block
not
you
gonna
or
help me,
anything.
sir.
Yeah.
It's all her, it's all her.
Okay.
This is her
Well,
project, she does.
Yeah, Nicole's been a great resource for us, but again, like, I'm not here to block the demo, I was just, if we do, I was kinda just wondering what the,
You want to do a new
what
structure
the
is gonna
plans were
be.
gonna be, that's pretty much why I was here.
Absolutely. Anything else?
No, nothing for me, and like I said, I'll defer to whatever the board has. Matt Tyndall is the other neighbor.
Okay.
He was kinda curious too, as far as that goes, cause there's like some trees and stuff back there. We were just kinda curious if the demo was gonna move
You're
forward.
Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, you're shaking your head like you were.
Yeah, that's me.
You wanna come up and say anything, or you?
No, just like what we discussed a little bit about he discussed the power pole. I'm just curious to seeing where that power pole lands on the property line. That's basically my concern. I know we have a really large tree, and from what my wife has said, most of it's ours, but there is some of it on his land, so.
Okay.
But other than that.
Which is part of the reason when we, that's why we ask about the design, and then, of course, we have to think about the setbacks, even though we're not that commission. We have to think about that, because then, we have to advise you to go to the commission to get that before it can be totally approved, if it were to be approved. So, I think that when you get to building something new, it ends up changing a lot of things. But, as Mike said, if you do what they did here at 716 and keep your same structure, then you don't have to worry about the setbacks.
Well,
you
that
know,
may be
your
what we
grandfathered
have to
in.
do.
It
We're just-
may
we're
be.
just investigating.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's what you do, and it's what
Yeah.
a smart homeowner should do, or an investor, however you wanna do it, so I absolutely agree with you.
In theory, it certainly would be easier just to,
Well,
knock it down and build
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
it sounds like,
It,
that's theory.
well, maybe, I mean,
Yeah.
you've gotten some advice that may be the right thing to
Right.
do, and it still might be. Again, we don't know what the building inspector might do. If the building inspector does say, listen, it's just unsafe, it has to come down, that's final. Well, this board can't do anything about that.
Right.
If the building inspector does say differently that, well, I think it may be bordering unsafe, but I'm not gonna make that call. Well, then, at that point, then this board does have a say in it, and then we would actually, make the decision.
What constitutes, I don't even know what I'm thinking here. What makes it, I mean, if we replace every board in it, which is pretty much what we're gonna have to do, is that not, I guess where's the line for demo versus, the reconstruction, basically, I guess is what I'm asking. If you replace everything in it and don't change the footprint, is that not?
No, I mean, that still doesn't consider it demo. That means, obviously you're supporting the other.
I don't know where I was going with that, sorry.
It's okay. Our job is to really try to maintain the historical character
Right.
of the downtown
Yeah.
area. And any structures that are here, we would like to see continue to be here. And we also know that there's a lot of work, and financial, investment that goes into keeping our structures, safe and also, up to par, right?
Yeah.
But when you demolish something that's historical, well, then it's now no longer historical. And the more we lose of our historical homes and structures that have been here, the less historical we are as a downtown, right?
I get it.
So although it may take somebody, a more of an investment to take a building that is borderline, do you demolish it, do you not, and put the money into keeping it, and keeping that structure, although you're doing a lot of work to, pretty much almost rebuild it, right? You're putting a lot of new wood and stuff in there. It still maintains the integrity of the historical structure that is there. And that's why we are very much into,
I'm not.
No, I know you're not.
For my own.
I'm hoping I'm giving it.
If I replace every board in
You're
it,
right, yeah.
isn't that a demo and a rebuild?
Say what?
If I replace every board in it, isn't that a sort of a demo?
In a sense, it's a cool demo because you kept the historical
It's like
structure, so
slow-mo.
we're really happy about that kind of, if that's what you wanna call a demo, replacement, then we're happy because you didn't demo it.
Right,
The
right.
structure stayed there and it stayed
Yeah.
the same, so, if you talk to, around downtown, yeah, that's what we'd rather see.
Well, that was our original
It's almost
plan.
like the Elks Lodge, that burned down, it could have, I mean, it was, but it got built back and it's still a historic structure. Yeah.
Well, that was our original plan, was to do
Yes.
that, so.
Yeah, and I hope you can continue with that original plan. I mean, I do. I think a lot of us probably do hope you can continue with that plan. But of course, we do have to get the building inspector's opinion. He was asked to go, and he's got an opinion on this, and he is a city official, and he has that ability, that power to make those decisions. Right. However, again, if he wants the board to be the one to make the decision, and he doesn't feel it's really at that point or that level, then we will have to come back next month and then, decide on that. Hopefully also having a design, knowing what the setbacks are, getting some, some questions answered and stuff to some residents around and go from there, right?
Okay, so we're at the building inspector basically.
Building
He has
inspector,
to- yeah.
inspector, if that doesn't work, then, we would like to take you up on your offer to come and see it, and then we can set that up through Brooke. And then by the time then we meet next month, will be, go toward the end of October, then we'll be making all the decisions that you're coming here for, plus
Okay.
design and all that type of stuff, because you want to talk to your wife and say, hey, look, we need to settle on a design, and we also need to look at where the setbacks will be, working with your contractor, so that we can make sure, do we need to go in front of the planning commission or not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
And I would also talk to the utility company, as well.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so
All
with that, we still gotta make the motion, okay, we're gonna make a motion, let's
Should
go
I
ahead.
restate my motion?
Yes, please.
I move that with the agreement of Todd Miller.
Yes.
To table the motion until table the application till the next meeting, and have an opportunity to have the building inspector review the structure, and perhaps, depending on his decision, with, perhaps the board.
I second the motion.
Josh Wilbur,
Approved.
Jerome Vernon,
Approve.
Thomas Stark,
Approved.
Owen McCollum,
Approved.
Jerry Wade,
Approved?
Ken McWilliams,
Approved.
and Mike Pittman.
Approved.
All right, so with that, we'll reconsider this in the next meeting.
Thanks, Jim.
Obviously, we'll be in touch. Thank you very much. Okay, well, that finishes our applications, and so at this point, we're going to go to new and old business. We'll start with, what do you got on your slides?
I'm
Because
getting there, sorry.
you always, you get me every time. All right.
There we go.
New business, all right. New business / I think it's kind of old business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's new / old, sorry.
Okay, so reinstating the certified letter requirement for COA applications that require Httpr approval. We have talked about this, we talked about this at our last couple of meetings. This is a meeting where we actually can bring it up for a vote. I can, I think I speak for what happened last meeting where there was several comments made that maybe this probably is not the best thing to do. But you've also had time to, sit and mull on this a little bit more, so got any more conversation around this topic?
I still think, I guess my question is, where do we get the first bullet point underneath the reinstate? Or did we do a survey? Was it telephone calls to the office? I mean, how will this ensure community neighbor notification? I guess from my vantage point, I don't see where, I can tell you, the mail system is not what it used to be, considering it took, my Christmas card didn't get to my son in DC till February.
Well, you gotta mail it in December.
Don't go there, Josh. I'm already in trouble with the wife. She accused me of leaving in the front seat. No.
Yeah.
But no, I guess from my perspective, I don't really feel that, and what, from my experience of using certified mail and not having it returned, it doesn't ensure more notification. I think the placard or the structure does, plus I believe people today have much more access to the internet, especially in the city of Madison. Now in the county, I can't say that, but in the city, we've got a great internet system, we've got a good website, and I think that it provides a great notification for what this board's gonna be covering during our meetings. And Brooke does a great job in putting the applications on as well.
And Josh, didn't we agree last time that we may not even have the budget to send out those certified letters?
And there's certainly a budget there we would have to, probably talk to the city council about possibly.
It's not our budget, the applicant is responsible for paying
We're paying
for
them.
that. So
Oh,
they're,
well,
they're $10 a piece, and typically for plan commission, and as Mike Pittman had brought up, being on the board back in, I believe, 2012, it was when this was still allowed. At times you can have up to 6 or 7 people that you have to send that to, so it does cause a significant, financial aspect to putting in an application.
I would say, we just saw residents here tonight. They knew about it, they had to have known about it through postings or something. So they were aware, and they came here to express their concerns or agreement with what was happening. And I think we see that a lot. I think we do see lots of residents that are the ones that might be concerned, letting us know either. And they've sent emails even into our office. So I agree, Mike. I'm not sure that reinstating it is the right option.
Brooke, have you had issues where neighbors came up and said, I didn't know, and I missed the process?
Only one. And, unfortunately, my response was, because he was asking, well, what are you doing to really let people know? And I let him know, well, it's published in the newspaper. It's on the website. I send it out to the media for radio stations, to the TV 15, to everyone else. So I let the neighbor know that it was, there were several places to access the information. It's posted here at City Hall. There are several ways people can do that. And I told him I'm sorry that he was unable to access that for whatever reason, but he did end up finding out from another neighbor, so he was able to attend the meeting, but it was a very last minute thing.
How many signs do we give out, Brooke?
One, right now.
It used to be, it was any public thoroughfare, so if somebody, faced an alley, or like if you had 2 intersecting streets, you'd get 2 signs or 3 signs, so it used to be we had more signs. Any place somebody would drive by, maybe, I would think that would be something we would want to continue, because that's what we used to. I don't know where we went to 1 sign, but, and they're not that expensive.
No, they're $2.
Yeah,
and
so I think that would be a good compromise here to make sure that we're any public thoroughfare, whether it be a street or an alley, they post a sign in a window or a door or whatever, and it's a vacant lot. I can still remember nailing a stake,
Yep.
nailing a stake too, so.
I know that in the previous minutes, I believe it was the August minutes, Owen made several comments about that. And I know there was some discussion regarding multiple signs on each right of way, basically, or public visual, where a public would have visual sight to that.
I'm in favor. If we want to have them, have 2 or 3 signs for each, location, if that's going to be what's seen from a public thoroughfare, I don't think that's a real big issue. If you have to pay $2 or $6, it's not a large expense, compared to paying, $60, $70, $80,
Right.
to send out letters. So, I think that's a really good compromise on that. Any other comments on this topic before we?
Is there a motion in front of the board regarding this?
No motion yet. We had the talk, I think,
So
this one, they had to do 2 meetings.
So we
allow
can just
folks,
let
I
this
gotta-
die then unless someone
Do you
presents a
have
motion?
any public comment?
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to figure out, hear y'all between what's going on out there. I'm about ready to get up to
Yeah,
the door.
I'm gonna ask for public comment one more time, again here. I don't think we're gonna get any, but.
We got competing conversations going on.
I can shut that door real quick.
And
No.
then,
Are you sure?
I'll get it.
Oh,
and then
okay.
really at this
Thank you.
point, I don't know that we would need a motion because we just
No,
keep doing what we're
just
doing.
let it
So
know.
we would only take a motion if somebody's really wanting to do this,
Yeah, move on.
So,
Well, then how does it stand right now? Say if we do nothing, is it just one sign?
I think it's up to, I think really it's a matter of directing the office.
Yes,
So
we
this is us directing, you know, Brooke to say, look, we want a sign for every public thoroughfare. If they have 3 views from a public thoroughfare, then that's what they give is 3 signs, and a person
I'd
pays
like to make
$6.
sure we get that.
Yes, so that'll be on the minutes, and that would obviously be the direction, but I don't wanna I wanna make sure the board, you know, is okay with that. I don't think we need a motion for that. I think that is just us feeling like, yeah, I think everybody's nodding their head, you know, yeah, so.
I mean, we're covered
Anybody
in
object
minutes.
to that? Like, don't- Okay, so Brooke, we would like the office to, make sure there's a sign provided to each applicant for each, public thoroughfare that can be seen, and the applicant would just pay the dollars for the signs, sign or signs provided.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
let me, and it also says display certificate of appropriateness for the duration of the project. Don't they have to have a COA to get a building permit?
Yes, they do.
yes.
So, I guess, how many signs do we want people to hang on?
You mean COAs? How many
Yeah,
COAs?
It says here, that under, the next, under here, it says display COAs for the duration of the project.
See, that's, to me, that's after the fact now,
That's after the
right? I
fact,
mean,
so-
you know, if you got the COA, I mean, at that point in time, public comment, you know.
Well,
is
I mean, but for, while the building, I mean, you've gotta have a COA to get a building permit.
Right.
So I don't think to display the COA during, it says during the duration of
Windows
the
or
project.
something that doesn't
No,
require.
because you have to have
Yeah.
the building permit displayed
Right, you do have that building
until
permit.
it's final.
Yeah, you have to, so I mean, you don't need to display both.
Brooke, when you send the COAs out, in your blurb, do you just say, please post it where people can see it? Or?
No, they're not required to post it, period.
Okay.
It's just, literally for their records.
Yes.
We
Okay.
have to keep a copy, they
Yeah.
keep a copy.
You just have, you know, like when I did one, I mean, I had to just display the building permit.
Yeah.
That's it. So, before we go any further though from this, do we have any comments from the public? All right, none. Okay, anything else, Mike, or anyone else? Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. Preservation awards. Brooke, you wanna lead this discussion?
All right, so, several months ago, we had a discussion, between Josh, Tom, and I, about making different categories for preservation awards. And we came up with these, different categories. So we have best of commercial preservation projects. Essentially, it would be, someone who has achieved preservation, rehab, or restoration, that does align to our guidelines and Secretary of Interior standards. And the winning project demonstrates the immediate and long-term benefits of historic preservation by engaging any number of preservation tools in the furtherance of a sustainable, high-integrity, and beautiful historic district community. So essentially, it's the perfect example of someone taking a commercial building and doing a rehab or restoration that is economically feasible, and, you know, it shows that preservation does work. It is, you know, a feasible option for people. The second category is best of residential preservation projects. So it would be similar to the commercial, but obviously on the residential side. So it's the same theory here, that this award goes to someone with a project that demonstrates the immediate and long-term benefits of preservation. Again, using any number of preservation tools to further sustainable, high integrity, and a beautiful historic district community. The third category is Lifetime Achievement in Preservation Award. So to be considered for this award, nominated individuals or organizations
Be dead.
must demonstrate indisputable evidence of superlative achievement over time in the preservation of our architectural heritage, significant in the history and culture of Madison. So this would essentially be someone who has taken on multiple projects, and they've demonstrated excellence in preservation throughout their span of project work. The next category is Gold Standard Preservation Award. It's an exemplary project in any category. Individuals or organizations nominated for this award have demonstrated their success in preservation, rehabilitation, or restoration of our architectural and cultural heritage by their ability to retain or enhance the property's historic integrity and character. This project should embody the highest standards in preservation and demonstrate the principles of sustainable building practices. The next category would be Best New Infill Building. And nominations for this award category should demonstrate the best examples of appropriate and compatible designs for new buildings erected within the historic district. Adherence to the design guidelines should be clear, or clearly demonstrated, I should say. The next category would be Best Rehabilitation Project. This award recognizes a project that makes compatible use of a building through repair, alterations, or additions while preserving features of the property that convey its historic value and demonstrating commitment to the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. So this project essentially would be someone who does a rehab and maybe they turn what was a residential property into a commercial property. Or perhaps they've added an addition that is compatible with rehabilitation. So you could go different projects in that category. The next would be Best Builder / Investor Award. And award nominees must demonstrate their commitment to the principles of historic preservation through their leadership in the completion of or investment in a notable preservation project. And in the last category is Best Restoration Project. And this award is presented in recognition of an outstanding effort to restore the exterior of a home or building in a manner fitting its historic character, while adhering to the Madison's design guidelines and contributing to the preservation of Madison history. Nominations must also demonstrate that the exterior restoration is in keeping with the home's historic character. So those are the different categories.
I would say, you know, like the lifetime achievement, what I like about it is it could just be somebody that has been a major supporter, has given tons of time to preservation, you know, so it doesn't have to be someone that goes and builds and does all that type of stuff. There's a lot of people that maybe don't have the money to build a lot of things, but they certainly volunteer a lot of time. They're a good advisor or consult for others, or just, you know, whatever it might be, but the way it's written allows that, you know, for us to do something like that and recognize people have been in preservation for a good part of their life. What are your thoughts? Do you think these are good awards and ways to recognize? I mean, I think when Tom and I and Brooke were talking about this, we wanted something, we did want to start recognizing people for doing, you know, good things and in our community and not, you know, and it's another way we can show people that, you know, we're a board that really does care and we do recognize what you do, whether you're investing, you're a homeowner, you volunteer in toward preservation type activities, whatever that might be. We want to make sure that we're recognizing it, and I know the mayor is fully in support of this. You know, he'll be here to help us present the awards. But something, no matter how we do this, I would love to be able to do this in November. Is when I'd like to do it, and I know Brooke will help us with providing applications the office thinks should be considered, and then we also know applications that we have looked at, and we can bring those up, and then, you know, we vote on those. But thoughts, opinions?
So this would be an annual award?
Yeah, this would be annual. These would be annual awards. We would do, yes, every year.
If I may, I know one of the discussions we had was that since there was not an award given in 2020 due to COVID, that there was the possibility that the board could consider 2020 and 2021 applications.
Yeah, for this one, but then in the future it just would be, you know, your current.
It's in my house.
I can't hear anything you're saying. No.
Yeah. Hello, drone. You know.
So,
I think it's all a great idea. You know, the historic board historically hasn't had a great reputation in respect to people that have to come before it. A lot of folks are discouraged by the historic board. And maybe recognizing some of the achievements of individuals that are actively restoring or support restoration of these buildings. To me, it seems like it's a great deal. I think it would be a good thing. I think anything we can do to bring to improve our image with the public, the citizens of Madison, is worth doing.
I think, I don't think we need a vote on this here. I think if you guys if you're all in favor of it, then, we'll go toward the next steps and, please go through applications for the past couple of years. Submit those applications or people, that you feel should be considered. And then, and then you can get out applications and people that you think should be considered for these, awards as nominees. If we can have that, by, what do you think? Can we do that by mid-October so we can vote by the end of October?
Right,
So
our
we get the
meeting's
awards
October
made?
25th, so I think that we would need to have that vote, or we could do a private vote.
Well, I wanna do private vote, 'cause
Yeah.
I don't wanna do that.
Right,
You know.
so
Yeah, because, get out.
what I can
It's
do,
a-
we can set a date,
Yeah.
say this is the deadline date for nominations.
Yes.
I can compile a list of all the nominations
Yep.
and then send that out to the board in email format, and you can
We can do
vote.
Survey Monkey or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, and then,
Exactly.
and then and then we could have it, I just wanna be able to have the voting done by the end of October.
Mhm.
So then we have time to order the awards, and then our November meeting, please talk to the mayor, have him at the November meeting, then we will recognize, those recipients at that meeting. And that also gives them, the recipients, time, because we can let them know,
Yes.
to schedule that, and, we will recognize them at that meeting.
Suitably framed? or just
I hope
pieces
so,
of
I don't know, I don't know what the
Yeah.
city will be able to afford and do, but I mean, I would hope something decent.
Yeah, me too.
Historically, I know we've just presented a certificate,
Really?
but,
I'll talk to Bob.
yeah, that would be the best
All right,
thing.
I'll talk to Bob. See if we can't get a little more budget.
No, great plan. Okay.
Excellent, so we'll move forward with that. What was our next thing? I know we get this. What was our next new business?
COA reminder cards, Ken actually
Oh.
asked for that to come up, and I've given a printed example, for everyone to pass around. I believe Tom has it, maybe, then, yeah.
Everybody see it yet? I'll pass it down, I've already checked it out.
This is what was sent to us by email, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Everyone received this in
Yep.
email, but I also wanted to print it out so it's a larger version, people could see. So there's the front and the back.
Are you gonna mail these to every resident in the historic district? Is that the idea?
Yes, we will.
Really?
No, that's what this, Raleigh, North Carolina is. It's a mailing card that went out to everyone within their districts. They have many districts, they don't have a single unified district. But it's a card that, it's this month. We
Do
didn't
you know
run
how
into
that
any-
was tracked?
Pardon me?
Do we know how new residents were tracked and by what organization?
So one option of that, Thomas, is to have something like this in every closing, real estate closing. Be included in that, included with the closing documents.
Yeah.
And just tell them to initial it like the other 400 documents that they'll remember. But, so it's just a piece that I think would be effective. We didn't run into it, of course, I haven't been here lately, but we didn't run into it lately, but we had several months where people said, I didn't know, and and Jerome's point, the hostility of that is just wasted energy. There's no reason someone would not be aware of this, but they are, so.
I think there's two different points though that you're, kind of pointing out. One is the new residents know about it, because more than anything, I think we get a lot of new residents who buy something downtown, of which there's several that don't really know that there is a process for having to get something approved, or what do I need to get approved? The inside of my home, the outside, the color, the what, right? So I think that, you know, that's one part. The other is just, is there something being done around you? And, you know, that's a whole nother process which we already discussed. I've always liked the thought of having something at a closing, whether it's this card or something else that, you know, is it's a friendly thing, but it also gives them the information where they can go and see what it is that is in the historic district, what would they have to get approved. I mean, it gives them the website, you know, we welcome, glad to have you as a new owner or whatever else, right? Whether you're an investor or a new resident, you know, and they're signing off on something like that. I think that's an easy way because then we don't have to pay postage for something and it's being done in the process.
Minimal impact.
Minimal impact, that's right. But it would need to be something, you know, still that eye-popping, but nice and very simple. But
One issue I did want to bring to your attention with this is that the city council has already approved the 2022 budget for our department. And this was not included. There are obviously costs in printing. So if you were looking to do something like this, it would not be until 2023 that this could be put into the budget.
yeah.
Now, another option would be to have a nonprofit, to partner with a nonprofit, like Cornerstone, for example. I mean, that's a lot of what they do, is to promote education and awareness about the historic district. And that's just a thought, just throwing that out there. But that was one of the discussions that we had had, is the budgetary concern on this because of the printing cost. Because you look at all the closings, especially lately, and you're talking about a significant number of doing that. So a nonprofit would be 90 more times likely to get a grant to pay for the cost of printing, whereas we would not, being a municipality. So
You're talking about printing up a couple of hundred pieces of paper. I mean, this is like $5 or something, isn't it? I don't understand how.
I'm just letting you know what I was told from our department
Well,
head
that's if you know.
about the budgetary concerns. And part of this, yes, if you're mailing it out, I know that was part of the concern, but I understand what you're saying with printing.
It would be
You
over
know.
1,000 on.
It would?
Yeah, every time you see a description of the historic district, it says 1,100, buildings or something like that, so.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think this is a good, I mean, there's a good idea here, but, you know, I mean, we got time obviously to talk about it, because we don't have a budget on it as it is right now. If
Josh,
come
can
up
we
with
follow up with Indiana Landmarks and see if we could partner perhaps with them, and maybe they would even take it?
It's a thought, we could see.
Maybe we need
We
some
could see.
additional research.
I don't know if mailing something out is necessarily the right thing. I think that it would be worth exploring, talking to the couple of title companies that we have in town.
I agree.
I agree too.
And Berg, I don't know if you would be willing to do that.
Yell at the guy
To
to
talk to the title
website.
companies and say, if we were to provide you with material, would you make sure that every new owner in the historic downtown, it's pretty easy, anybody buying downtown, they get one of these.
Well, then we don't have to pay for printing.
Then you're not paying for postage, you're just paying for the printing, 'cause
Yeah.
I do know that
The printing cost could be substantially less, because we could do it on an 8.5
Yes.
piece.
We could do it on Brooks at lunch. You never know.
We could do it on bond paper, just run it through the copier, and there you go.
Hey, Brooke, what about having our group that's looking at the guidelines also come up with a way on educating the locals on that and making that a part of the deal that they wanna, we would want something to let them know, first of all, about the historic board. Secondly, the guidelines have been revised and, exterior modifications have to come before the board, something like that, and put that as part of the deal.
I do agree. I think that's a good idea. To let y'all know, I did have a discussion with Devin, since his office does a lot of the closings in Madison. He is completely open to the idea of, he liked it, to provide residents with something at closing. Essentially, we would need to get, like you said, get something created and then, give that to him. But again, in speaking with Nicole, her concern was A, the budgetary concern, B, it takes time to design all these and put together, something, and she was kind of concerned about those issues because, that takes obviously staff time and, so she was just, that was the concerns that she and I had when we were discussing.
I would say, look, let's always start simple. If we got, Devin and, the other one, which is,
Jefferson.
run by, Mrs. Reese, I can't remember what Jefferson County. And you say, look, let's just take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Let's just have it, very simple with, our website on there, welcome, we, love having you
Pretty
here.
pictures of
Go to
some-
this website to
Pictures
look
of
at what's, and we
Yeah.
start from there and then
Happy
develop from
face.
there. We could have a piece of paper printed, 1,000 of those pieces of paper.
Well,
And utilize that until we come up with something
That's
different.
Cornerstone actually has a fabulous brochure on their website, and it's a property owner's guide for the historic district.
Oh, well then,
It's fabulous. I mean, I actually print that out and send that out to people who contact me saying, either I just bought or I'm thinking about buying. What, I've never looked at a historic district, what do I need to know? I actually send them the link to that. We've been trying to cut down on our printing costs as well lately, and so I'll send them a letter with a link to that brochure. I also was given, Camille had given me some booklets they received a grant to print off some educational booklets. She gave me quite a few of those. So I have the staff in my office that when people come in to talk, I'll give them one of those, or I've mailed some to some people. So, I mean, we do have a little bit something trying to go on if they contact me, but that's the problem, like you're saying, a
I'm
lot of
just saying,
people
don't worry
know.
about contacting you. I mean, you can have the letter or just a piece of paper that's very simple in nature. It doesn't have to have a lot of color on it. You can have a small picture or something on it, which won't take a lot of ink. But more about, okay, these are the couple websites to please, go and utilize, right? You always, something better than nothing on this one, right? And at least we could start there, and if the title companies are willing to do that, then we've got our foot in the door. So that if we do update it, or we're able to do something more a little later, we'll do that. I mean, eventually they'll go to pretty much electronic signing too, and then it'll be just an electronic thing.
Right. If you'd like, did you say you'd like for me to contact the title
Yes,
companies?
and let's
to
get
see-
their feedback and
Okay.
then, report back next meeting. And if you would, maybe look at a few, like, simple designs that we could utilize.
Sure.
All right, what was the next topic? You had
The
like a lot.
architectural review or
Yes.
materials.
You're talking about the
review, whatever you
approval,
wanna
right?
call
The-
What's that?
The approval of materials?
that. Yeah, so that list that I gave each of you, that was already something that we have in place. And so it essentially, like I believe we had talked before, this committee would build on that because there's so many new materials. And to let you know, what I've done is I found out that I can request free samples of products. So I have 2 more being shipped to me tomorrow. I should get it. But this is boral siding. It can be milled exactly like it would. And so they sent me the product, a sample of the product and their brochure, and I'll pass that. But it would be stuff like that this committee, like you said, would review. Because boral is, even though it's been around for a little bit, it's still called a relatively new product.
And Brooke, is this the material that Judy Kaler used for her capital? Or
Similar.
something similar?
Similar, but.
So the idea, and I'll just give the board, and so after last meeting, we talked, there's a few of us that talked about materials, because materials come up a lot, and they usually are a sticking point, either for us and the applicant, or the applicant between, and with us. And what we thought is, if we had a committee that had a few members from our committee, and it was made up of some contractors and a few residents downtown, that met quarterly to discuss materials. In other words, what type of new materials are they seeing in the market? What are they seeing coming down the road? That we could stay on top of this, and then they would report out to us, the members who were on this would report to this board quarterly as well after they've met to discuss, what types of materials they think that maybe we should consider, going forward. And because materials are changing, and they're changing at a rapid pace. We're seeing 3D printed materials. I mean, they're talking about 3D printed, organs that they can start putting in patients, and if we're not, gonna start opening our minds to the fact that there could be other materials out there that could be utilized on historic builds, then I think we're foolish. So I think having a committee that is meeting like that and doing it, I think one, it shows that we are committed to this, and that we're showing the public that we're not just set in our ways, and it's this piece of paper and it's this piece of paper since 1980, and that's all that's gonna happen, right? And so I think that, both those reasons are why I'd like to, start this committee, and get something like that going, very soon.
Full agreement.
So, any like cons to that? You guys would.
Does the Department of the Interior have any kind of outreach effort on this, any kind of resource?
They do provide a guide for the use of alternative materials, however, they do not get specifically into,
I could see that.
so that's kind of the problem. Just to let y'all know, there was a historic preservationist, basically my position, but she was in Detroit. And through our NAPC listserv, she was asking about, actually that product right there, boral siding. And she and I got in contact, and I happened to mention that our board was thinking about doing a review committee. She said that she would love if we would be open to sharing it, like streaming that meeting, because and then I started getting comments from, other staff members. Other staff members in different cities across the country were saying, oh gosh, I would attend.
Really?
Not to provide insight necessarily, but to just hear what we have to say. Or if nothing else, be able to see our report.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, listen, I think that's how we all survive, and how we work, and we have a network, and if that's what they wanna do, and we can stream it, then it's nothing.
Right.
So, I'd be all for that, and, we got some good minds, and hey, if Madison, Indiana, is helping all these other historic districts, I mean, how cool would that be? That would be really neat, so do we need a vote for this kind of a thing then?
To create a committee, I would err on the side of caution and say yes.
Okay, so, is it one of those where aye and nay, or do we actually gotta go through a vote?
I think you could do a aye and nay. I think you can do a voice vote.
All right, so with the, this committee, I will, make the motion to this board to, go forward with this idea. We'll have 2 members of the committee, because that's what we're allowed, I believe. Is it 2 or 3?
2.
Along with, a few residents and a couple contractors, on it to, meet quarterly. We would start this meeting, hopefully, again, November. We'll target November as, being a first meeting for this committee. And then I would take volunteers to be on it, as well. Ken, you obviously, he wants to be, so if someone else wants to volunteer, we'll do that, and then we'll begin this project. And we'll obviously stream and allow other historic boards or preservation societies, if they would like to listen in or get the report from this committee, that's good as well. So that's what I'd like to recommend to you. If you are in favor, I would like an aye, an A, or yes, or something. Yay? Aye.
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 All against? Nay? All right. So we will go forward with that, and we will start this. We will, in November, to meet. Brooke, we'll talk about the contractors and residents to put on there. Ken has put his name in the hat as a volunteer.
Also.
And Tom as well. So Tom and Ken, you guys can kind of start off for us then. And, we'll go from there. I think this is gonna be fun. I think this is a fun one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you two, volunteering. I think this is the way we need to go, so. All right, any other old business, new
The
business?
staff reports, and that's it.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Fast track.
Yep, this is the 2021 Fast Tracks. LTBM Properties LLC at 828 West 2nd Street. I've got a COA to replace wood siding with hardy board, but it's a small section, approximately 350 square feet in the rear eastern elevation of the home. Replace replace windows with aluminum clad. Replace exterior doors with ones of appropriate design. And I put a note on here, the front door was not done according to the COA. So I'm working with the applicant to correct that,
Okay.
because it is not appropriate, it is not what was approved with the COA.
Are you getting,
Positive
Cooperation?
response.
Okay.
Yes, I'm getting cooperation. They are looking at new doors now. I sent them examples of what would be appropriate for their federal style home.
good deal.
Then we have Central Holdings LLC at 307 Jefferson Street. Replace the windows with aluminum clad, and just tell you, you'll get a kick out of this. The original historic wood windows were installed upside down. So, the windows obviously cannot function. Someone had installed, little wood stops to keep the window up.
That is,
That's a kind you don't want out of here.
You know, your drip plates and all that are, yeah, they're on the, top instead of bottom, and, anyway, so, those, that was a funny one, but, anyway, Susan L. Smith at 830 East Street, got a COA to replace asphalt shingle roof with a metal roof. Kim Kennard at 523 East 3rd Street, to install an aluminum fence 60 inches high by 229 total length, including 2 gates of same material on the east side of the home and rear yard. Keith Denton at 410 and 10.5 West Street, to replace second floor windows with aluminum clad windows to match the first floor. And then the September 2020 COA review, Michelle and Rich Fletcher at 314 Poplar Street, COA for a vinyl fence and portable shed. It was completed. Jennifer Wester at 716 East Main Street to demo an accessory building. It was completed. Robert and Kylene Center at 938 West 2nd Street to add a 10 by 17 by 7 front porch with 3 support columns. That was done. William Tandy at 1017 Park Avenue to build a 20 by 24, 1.5 single-story family home. That is in progress, but the design obviously was modified in 2021, so he is moving forward with the newly approved design. Friends of the Ohio Theater at 105 East Main Street to install brick exhaust vents on the north wall of the building and a mail slot on the ticket booth wall. That was done. And Penny Lane Properties LLC, Lynn and Michelle Pennington at 227 West Main Street to demo a southern addition, and that was done as well. And that is it.
all right. Any questions for, Brooke on the staff?
Brooke, separately, did I see you were making progress on getting these staff-approved fast tracks on a website of some kind?
Yes.
Some public access piece?
Yes, Nicole is working on that. With the new website, she's having some trouble with the configuration and storage, you know, so she is working on that. She's eager to get that on there as well. So.
Is there any update on the survey beyond what we got last time from you?
Yes, they will start Monday, be here Monday through Saturday of next week. So if you see them walking around, you might want to say hi. But anyway, they'll obviously, I'm sure, be in contact with me if they have any questions or anything like that.
And we've got, have we put out anything so that people know that these people are gonna be taking out and taking pictures of the homes and all that?
There have been, newspaper articles published about it, so
Okay.
I do believe people are aware, but.
We might wanna put something on the website if we could.
And I do, yeah, I will make sure we do that, and then I know the police department has been notified, you know.
Do they also have like name tags or anything?
Yes, they're going to have, I believe lanyard badges
Good.
to identify who they are.
Good.
Wait till my ring videos hit you speak.
All right, well, with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
No, let's stay.
I know it.
I move we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Yes?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. We are adjourned.
So long. Actually, Tom, you should take it home to join the committee.
Here are these, for the first two.
All the others have to come before us.
That's what I thought. How do we have?
No, see, those aren't staff photos. No, we did.
So you have everything done for the weekend?
Everything done.
That
We
was
have to
approved
put
back in
our dog along with
2020. This is